Welcome,
Welcome.
Housewives
Good
of True Crime.
morning.
It's real early for you,
Yeah, it's real early for me.
and it's
I'm kind of out of sorts though, because we had the stomach flu. So there's a lot of day sleeping, night sleeping, not so much. So it's cool.
right. I have had that same experience, actually, without the stomach flu.
Just because you're partying like a rock star.
I
Show
don't.
off.
There's not a lot of partying going on when you have three kids with you on spring break, but
I managed to do it.
the people around us are partying big time. We're in Miami right now, and we took the kids to this very kid friendly, normally restaurant turned into not so kid friendly on spring break.
All right.
So
People
they saw a little,
scantily clad. They
oh,
saw a little
oh, you have no idea.
flesh.
You have no idea.
Well, listen, they got to learn
They're learning the twerking young. Let me just tell you that.
life skills,
Life skills.
right? Well, you'll be proud of me. I'm such a homebody typically, but we went on a little excursion with some mutual friends of ours, Tab,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll have you know that we stayed up until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, hot damn. Even Ailish?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm pretty sure, but definitely Yvette did. Yeah,
wow. Congratulations. You're a grown adult now.
I know. Right? And then it was so lame because then we all slept, which is like such a miracle when you have kids and they let you sleep in late.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the damn time change.
We did
So
the
we
same
woke
thing. We
up.
didn't even know.
We woke up with like an hour to check out. We were like, no breakfast. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. We did not have to go anywhere, but we woke up and we're like, whoa, we slept in so late. I can't believe
Yeah.
it. We must have been so tired. Um, but it was just the time change. Um,
Right.
and we were originally in the Bahamas, which you guys is such a bucket list trip. If you guys have not been, it is something you should go, Gretch.
Yeah.
You haven't
We
been.
all should go. You're so relatable, Tab.
Listen, there's people from all over there. It's 1 hour from Miami. So if you live on the East Coast, I think it's not so awful to
Oh,
get
yeah.
there.
I
And
always
there's,
see those cruise deals on TravelZoo. I get the mail. I
dude,
mean, you could go on a cruise there for like $399 for like
yes,
5 days. It seems
I'm,
like a pretty good deal.
I'm telling you, there is a way to go and not, break the bank.
Okay.
Or you can go and stay at, there are break the bank places, but there are also not. We
Who
went to,
cares? You don't need to stay anywhere fancy. Like
you're not
when
at the
you are,
hotel.
you're not at the hotel, you're on the
Mm-mm.
beach.
You
Yeah.
know what we
So, like,
did?
forget about it.
We went to the Atlantis and just got the wristbands for the day so the kids could
Oh,
go on the
Lord.
water
I
slides.
have looked to see how much it costs to stay there. Forget about it.
I don't know. We didn't stay
Forget
there.
about it. Oh, it's stupid.
We just bought the wristbands for the day so
Yeah.
they could do the water park. And you wouldn't even know if people were staying there or not. You
Oh,
can get a
really?
chair. Yeah, I mean it's just like you're staying there if you do it. So, it's a little bananas. I say it's not one of those hotels where you can just let your kids run around and you sit drinking cocktails because
Yeah.
it's so massive, but it was fun.
Well, we did a bucket list thing. I think if you're in California, you should all do. I hate to actually say it because I don't want it to get crowded, but I also want it to stay in business. So it probably needs to get a little more crowded. But it's this place called Sky Mountain Santa's Village in Lake Arrowhead.
Oh, yes. You've been talking about that for I feel like a
Ever.
decade.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
last time we were supposed to go, we got COVID, so we didn't go.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I've been wanting to drag my friends, and I knew Ailish was a little bit like, okay, here we go. It's kind of expensive, and I
Worth
was
it?
like, oh, she was at some points she literally cried. It was so good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you've been telling me about this place too. I got to
It
try
is
it.
like magical and so much fun, and they put on such a good show. There is puppet shows and magic shows and zip lining and rock climbing and all of this stuff for the kids to do. And they have good tequila and you can walk around anywhere in the park with a cocktail.
Okay.
And we were having such a good time. And then my husband, I'm like, oh my God, let's get season passes. We ruled that out because we did the math and it's not really worth it. We're not coming 6 times a year. But
Yeah.
my husband is like, really? You like it that much? I was like, yeah, I want to come back with just grown-ups, like go to one of the concerts. And he's like, you're so lame. He made fun of me
Oh,
because he's a jerk.
okay. By the way, you did miss one vacation. She was trying to go on 2 vacations each weekend because it sounds like you actually made a vacation, but
I made one vacation last week. Well, 2 weekends ago, I guess. And this weekend, I skipped a vacation because we all got the stomach flu. And I was holding out hope to the last minute because honestly, my husband hadn't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
Our trip was camping and he's the driver because I don't tow.
Right.
Anywho, and this was a particular sickness that comes out both ends. I don't need to elaborate. It only lasts like 10 hours, but it's pretty heinous.
It's enough.
Yeah. And so we skipped the first night, but we were going to rally for the next 2 nights as long as he stayed healthy. But the night before we were supposed to get up at 4:00 in the morning to do the drive,
Started
he
coming
got
out
it.
both ends. Okay.
Oh, and he's a man, so it's 10 times worse for
Yeah.
him. So it was like, I got to call it.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Well, I know what this episode is about, and I am so
Oh, we're
excited.
dying. We're dying. We're dying. And if this is your first time listening to us, then I apologize for, going on a little long about the chit chat. It's just because we haven't seen each other in like a week.
We usually talk every single day. We haven't talked to each other in a week. It's just, and even before this, we had to like get on record because I'm going on a boat in Miami. I don't know. So
there's a lot to discuss. Okay, but we're gonna do this.
Do it.
Sherri Papini. Papini. I know, right? It's a good last name.
Does it mean like liar, liar, pants on fire in Italian or something?
It should.
Pepperoni, Papini.
Okay.
Talk to me, Goose.
Let me tell you. Okay, so today's case is actually the very first case I covered on the podcast.
That was almost 3 years ago, by the way.
Yeah. It has been 3 years. Happy 3-year anniversary.
Is that true? That is
clink,
true.
clink.
Okay.
You owe me a muffin basket or something.
I think I do.
Mm-hmm. We are going to revisit it because there have been some stunning new events. Okay, so let's talk about Miss Sherri Papini. First, a little review. In November 2016, what was reported was Sherri, mother of 2, was out jogging and disappeared. It was one of those stories like Gabby Petito that was widely covered in the media. Let's face it, they love cute blondes, which is not really fair to all the other people that go missing, but we all know that's the truth, right?
It's media. They decide what
they decide. Yeah. At the time Sherri was disappeared, her husband Keith pleaded for her return, and he was open about how he had discovered Sherri was gone. Keith was very believable. Keith said he came home from work at the Best Buy and discovered her car was in the driveway, but she wasn't there. This was particularly concerning because, like, where could she be without her car and 2 small kids? He then used the Find My Phone app and located her phone a mile from the house. When he found the phone, he took a picture of it, which seemed like a little odd. Like, I don't know if I would have taken a picture. I think I would have just picked it up, but whatever. He took a picture of
that was
her
strange.
phone. Yeah, it was strange. With her headphones were like wrapped around it, and it looked like it had been placed there, not like it had been ripped away or like thrown.
real quick, do you think that he kind of thought she was making it up and that's why he took the picture? Like,
No.
does this look
I don't
normal?
know.
No.
No, I don't. And and Keith went on later to take a polygraph test. I don't think he knew. I think he knew later,
Okay.
but I don't think he knew at the time. Okay, so anyways, Keith then called his mother and she hadn't heard from Sherri. And then he called the kids' childcare center and asked them what time did she pick the kids up. And they told him the kids were still there. So, he got real worried and called the police. And the story went on from there. And the story was super mom Sherri Papini, that's literally what they called her, has gone missing. And the picture that was painted was that she must have been taken against her will from her perfect life. Her husband told their love story about how they met in junior high and he had saved all the notes that they had written to each other all those years ago. And then they reconnected and had a fairy tale wedding and life. He described coming home from work every day and having a family snuggle.
I forgot
And
about that.
oh yeah. I
I
mean, it
remember
was
we were like,
like,
who does that?
who
Do you have
does
a
that?
family snuggle?
No.
Oh,
It's like, hey dad, and then usually something like, what's for dinner?
yeah. What's dinner?
Yeah. So at the time it was like too corny to question. I mean, it was like, oh wow, you know, she must be super mom, right? Getting all the snuggles and shit. Okay, so Sherri's disappearance took an unusual turn when this dude, Cameron Gamble, inserted himself in Sherri's missing saga. So this dude was also from the Redding, California area, like
Mm-hmm.
Sherri, and he fancies himself a hostage negotiator, but he doesn't like have the resume to back it up. He's not former FBI or SWAT or, anything like that. He's a self-defense coach who somehow makes a living talking to missionary groups at churches about how to not get abducted when they travel abroad. So, I mean, whatever.
Um, wasn't he also a truck driver?
No. I
No.
don't think so. I could be wrong about that, but
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So, Sherri's husband Keith consented to Cameron's master plan to get Sherri back, which was that he said he had an anonymous donor who was willing to put up $50,000 for Sherri's return. Now, this person does exist, by the way, but it's still kind of weird because no one was asking for ransom.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
So then
how do they know somebody actually has her and not? I mean,
it just seemed
I don't
weird.
know. Seems
It seemed like kind of concocted. Yeah.
and hasty.
Yeah. So then he said, the Cameron guy said, if he was not contacted via his instructions that he posted on YouTube to Sherri's captors within 100 hours, that the ransom would be doubled, but now it would be a ransom on the captors' heads, which is the exact plot from the Mel Gibson movie Ransom. And so I mean, people started to smell some bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was obvious that he wanted to capitalize on the whole thing. He registered the website, sherripapini.com and cameroncampbell.com at the time. So it was all sus. Like, what is this dude up to? So nothing came of that guy's efforts at the time regarding Sherri, but he did open himself up to a lot of public criticism for being a poser. So I don't think it was so good for his
Reputation.
his hostage negotiator
Mm.
business, whatever. Also, I
How,
think I'm right about that because I can't find his actual business anymore.
by the way, um, how many people are getting taken hostage where you need like a negotiator
Well,
in the
usually
United
there's
States?
some like legit professionals who handle that. I don't think it's one of those self-trained jobs.
Okay. Like
Okay.
FBI trained,
Yeah.
maybe those type of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Cameron and his wife were also really involved in this mega church, Bethel, that is kind of controversial. And
Mm.
so there were some conspiracy theories that this all had something to do with the church, but now we know it didn't, so I'm not gonna get into all that again. But I mean, you could Google Bethel Church. It's a doozy. Okay.
Mhm.
Anywho, Sherri was found 22 days later off Highway 5 in Yolo County by a trucker, and she was taken to the hospital and reunited with her husband. After they were reunited, Keith did a 2020 interview and described Sherri's ordeal that had left her with a broken nose, bruises, cut off hair, and most notably, a branding on her left shoulder. He described her as being really traumatized by all that, which is understandable. And after the interview, he didn't do any more, which I think is also understandable. And Sherri never gave an interview, and they've been super reclusive ever since 2016. What we learned after Sherri was found, based on all the press conference following her return, as well as all the dirt people had dug up on her, left us to guess what was the story with her being gone for 22 days. So we talked about it on the
Mhm.
podcast 3 years ago. I thought she was full of shit, and you thought it was possible that she was taken. So
I should have re-listened.
I am going to tell you what we knew then, and then I will tell you all the shit we know now. Okay, so
Okay.
Sherri's
So by
story.
the way,
Yes.
that also sounds very much like our personalities, I would have to admit.
Yeah.
Right? I'm always like, it's possible. I mean, I have this like this heart for people and their lies because I feel like they could be true, but
Uh-huh.
most of the time guilty people are guilty.
Uh-huh. I just
Mhm.
call them like I see them.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Sherri's story about the two Hispanic women being her captors just didn't ring true for a lot of people. And when you read a blog she wrote in the early 2000s, it definitely makes you think,
Mhm.
really? So there are these two blog posts on this now defunct website called skinheads.com that Sherri has never confirmed she's written, but it's under her married name, Grafe. And I should say under her maiden name, Grafe. And it also says it took place in the town Shasta that she grew up in. And it's about how she's proud of her white heritage and how Hispanic girls bullied her because of it. And posts are, they're just like ignorant and full of racist bullshit. So I'm not going to get too into it. But I mean, clearly, Sherri didn't get along with some girls in high school and they happen to be Hispanic. And then she happens to get kidnapped by two Hispanic women. It's like, not so much Sherri.
Yeah, that's very sus.
Yeah, and one other thing that bugged me was her initial description of them was not Hispanic. She said right away, "too Mexican." And I was like, how do you know they were Mexican if you were blindfolded and they were masked? Not that you can tell, it's just that there's a lot of countries that speak Spanish. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't identify someone who is from Guatemala or
El
Mexico or
Salvador or wherever.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I just thought, hmm,
Yeah,
that's
that's
weird.
weird.
Yeah. Okay. And there was another coinkydink from Sherri's past, and that is she went to high school with a girl that went missing while jogging. That girl's killer is still out there, but
Hmm.
that girl's poor family believes they know who it is, and he still lives in town. And so that is awful for them.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. The girl gone missing while jogging while Sherri was in high school is kind of a stretch, but I mean, it just is like that could have made an impression on Sherri. I mean, it's
And
like at a pivotal age, You know,
Right.
I'm sure it was a really big deal. So, you know,
It seems attention seeking also, like she's,
yeah,
you know,
she
you
she
see
saw
how to
the
get
results
attention.
of that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, people on Reddit and such have had some thoughts about that. Maybe that's why she chose to, you know,
Go out that way.
go out that way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, then there was all this shit in Sherri's criminal record. Around the same time she was writing those bullshit racist blog posts, there was a report filed by her mother that said she was self-harming herself and trying to blame her. And then there was another one her sister filed about her house being vandalized, and she suspected it was Sherri.
Right. I remember that.
So we know that Sherri had like some cracks in her stability, I
Mhm.
would say. Okay. Okay. There was also some sexy pics that don't show Sherri's face, but people trace them back to Sherri after seeing them on sites like Backpage. In the Facebook group that I have belonged to for years called I Don't Believe Sherri Papini, I read in the comments the photographer who shot the pics says 100% they are Sherri, and they were shot as a boudoir shoot for Keith. So what it sounds like happened is that, yeah, she was like, Keith, I'm going to take these hot pictures for you, and then she found some other ways to use them besides for her husband's pleasure. Listen, the pictures are hot. I will give her that.
She's cute.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure they are hot,
Yeah.
but
So
you know,
we also learned Sherri, by the way, she really likes pictures of herself. There are all these pictures of Sherri and her husband, and where you don't see his face or you just see his
oh, right.
profile. And it's weird because it's not just like a one off. I mean, there's a lot of these pictures, and it's like her favorite pose. And it just kind of reeks of like narcissism.
Mhm.
Okay, so I mean, that's just a side note. But, anyways, a year after Sherri's return, police released information that there was male DNA found on Sherri. And so that's when everyone was really like, Sherri,
What's up?
you got some splaining to do, okay?
Two two women, one
Two
man?
women, how'd you get that male DNA that is
Mm,
not your husband on you,
right.
okay? And now, amen, we finally know what really went down because they released a very detailed report about it. The report starts out explaining the various inconsistencies in Sherri's interviews. Like, she said she had to wear an adult diaper when she was captive. And then she said she used a bucket with kitty litter to go to the bathroom. She said her captors mentioned gamble or gambling, but she didn't know what that meant.
What?
Well,
I
yeah, I mean,
My
it sounds like
8-year-old
they,
kid knows what it means.
well, I'm thinking that she said that to the police because of Cameron Gamble, the, you know, air quote hostage negotiator. Like they were watching the news,
Mm.
but she's trying to make it sound like, I don't know, I don't speak Spanish, gamble, blah. I don't know. So,
Okay.
anyways, they asked her about the branding, and she said she thought it was from Exodus from the Bible,
Mhm.
but it was a really confusing part of the Bible, so she wasn't sure what it meant. So I Googled Exodus,
Yes.
and this is what I got. The main events are deliverance of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt and the Sinai covenant of the 10 commandments given them to them at Mount Sinai. So I mean, I'm not sure what Sherri was getting at. I agree. It's a confusing part, but I mean, why would she say that?
I don't know.
Clearly that's what she was trying to get to. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so mostly her descriptions in her interviews of what she underwent while captive were just so vague that it just obviously sounded like bullshit to the detectives from the get when you read this report. They also went through her phone and found that she had two men's numbers listed as women's names.
You know who does that also?
Who?
Those cheater pumpkin eaters.
Cheater pumpkin eaters. Yes. And so they
Mhm.
thought that was sus, right?
Mhm.
Mhm. So they contacted those men as well as Sherri's first husband, who told them that him and Sherri had really only gotten married because he was in the military and Sherri needed health insurance because she was having a lot of complications from donating her eggs so many times. Let that sink in. There's a lot of baby Sherrys
Oh
running
no.
around.
Oh my gosh. No. Oh no. No. And they don't know, right? They're like,
they, I, well, you kind of do know, mate. Well, yeah, you look at your egg donor's picture. If it works, I went through infertility, so I mean, I use my own eggs, but people look at your picture.
but the people that you donated your eggs to,
They
they
saw
see
my
your they
picture.
see your
Yeah,
picture.
I donated my embryos and they saw my picture. Yeah.
And so they're like,
So if they kept that, then they know. I'd keep
that's
it a
that
secret.
Housewives of True Crime girl. We are going for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So I that must be a tough pill to swallow for all those families.
Well, let's hope it just stopped there
Let's
with
hope.
her.
Yeah, let's hope it just stopped there with her. Okay. But that's pretty juicy. That's in the report. Okay. So she also told them her last text to her husband was, "Would you like to come home and have sex with your wife for lunch?" And he said no. And so that's why she went for a jog. But I think that was
You
just like she just sent that text to make sure he wasn't coming home.
Oh,
You
for
know?
sure.
Yeah.
Unless he sent that back and she's like, F
He was
you, I'm out of here. Where's my boy
no,
toy?
because she had a whole plan.
She had
So
a
she
plan.
was just making sure he was not
Okay.
coming home.
So
Okay.
did she write like, okay, going for a jog?
I don't think she wrote back going for a jog.
Okay.
Um, you know. So I think he just assumed, right?
And why did he just write back no? I mean, what a douche.
I don't think he
I
wrote
have a
back no.
husband.
I don't know that he wrote back no specifically. He
Okay.
probably wrote back something like, "I sorry, can't because I have to, work."
Bring home the bacon. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So she also got mixed up about why she was branded. She said that her buyer wanted it. And then she said it was a punishment for trying to escape. And she also said it was a punishment for being too loud. She got real mixed up about it in various interviews. In one interview, they also asked her about that post on skinheads.com.
Mhm. What'd she say?
And they also asked her if she had a MySpace account, and she said that she couldn't remember. And she said, "Oh, that post is awful," and she denied it was her. And like the MySpace thing, she said, "I can't remember if I have one," which is something you remember, right?
Dude, we all remember.
Yeah, I mean, we're not proud of it, but we all remember, right?
I mean, it's like Facebook before Facebook, wasn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, a highlight of that report was reading that her husband called the FBI after Sherri had a memory during therapy of the captors pouring something sticky down her throat. And she said she wiped it off on her underwear, which tells me Keith was like, "How did you get male DNA on your chonies?" And by the way, when the police told us she had male DNA on her at the press conference, they never told us it was on her underwears.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like on her shirt or something.
But clearly, Keith knew. And I think he started to be like, okay,
What's
come
going
on.
on?
What's
Yeah.
going on? Okay. And I don't know if he knew it was spermatozoa, but I mean, it sounds like he
Of
had a
course he
suspicion.
did.
Okay. So she comes up with the story like, oh, memories in the corner of my mind. I remember this jizz on my throat, wiped it off on my underwear. Okay.
Why would you wipe it off on your underwear? That's so weird. That's not like, excuse me, one
Yeah, she
second.
didn't.
Let me,
Yeah, she didn't say she was naked. She just said, I mean, she said that she was wearing a sweatsuit. So it makes no sense for her to have wiped it off on her underwear.
yeah, I know.
Okay. But I think that Keith was probably so relieved because this dude loved his wife. He wanted so badly for her just to not be a liar.
Oh man, that's so sad.
I know. Okay, so side note, I think there were 3 interviews with Sherri over a 3-year period, and that's because Sherri was kind of hard to pin down to do interviews when the FBI requested them. Her first interview was actually her husband tape recording the questions because Sherri said that the cops were involved in her kidnapping, and so she didn't trust them. She said that her captors told her that her buyer was a cop.
Okay.
Okay. So they were onto her right away, I
Hmm.
think, but they needed proof, and they
Yeah.
finally got it when they submitted the male DNA profile from Sherri's underwear for a familial match, and her ex boyfriend's relative came up. And so they went hunting through the ex's trash, you know, while he's
Yeah.
unsuspecting, and tested it, and boom, DNA match.
Boom.
So they questioned this guy and he didn't deny it. He said him and Sherri had been talking since December 2015. So she'd been planning this for like 11 months.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. She had got in touch with him after he had sent some of her things to her parents' house. She told him that she was in an abusive relationship with her husband who beat and raped her, and that the police in Shasta wouldn't do anything about it. And okay, by the way, there are no police reports on file against her husband. There's
Hmm.
no one's been able to find any history of abuse. She was just making it up. She told the ex-boyfriend after a while that they should talk on prepaid phones. And so they did. He said she worked out a plan that he would pick her up and she would escape, but he didn't know like how long she was going to stay with him or how this plan was going to shake out. So it's like he knows she has kids and
Hmm.
she's telling him that she's being abused. So how is her plan? Like, what mother's plan would be, I'm going to escape and leave my children behind?
Never.
Never. No
Never.
mother would do that.
Never.
So I don't know why this guy didn't question that, but I mean, he just does not seem to be like the brightest crayon in the box.
Hmm.
So he drives his ass up to Redding, gets her. He says they hardly talk in the car. And then he takes her to his apartment in Costa Mesa, California, which is very close, by the way, to me. And
What year was this? Sorry, I forgot.
2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like in the same county of Orange, California, while this shit was happening.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay. So they just chill because, dude, he didn't even have a TV.
He didn't have a
So
TV?
He didn't have a TV.
What the heck did they do all day long?
She was able to look on her phone. She had the
Okay.
interweb on her phone. Yeah. And so she could see the news reports and everything that was going on. She knew what was up. So he says that she asked him to board up the windows, even though she stayed in a room that like the neighbors couldn't see in. He says they did not have sex.
But they did because they found his DNA
Yeah,
on her underwear.
exactly.
Okay.
But I don't, whatever.
Okay.
He said she chopped off the hair right away.
Right away.
Yeah, like he came home from work. He was still coming and going from work.
Okay.
Okay. He said she ate really small portions. So that's how she lost so much weight. Portion control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She asked him to hawk a puck at her. Like, she wanted the
Yeah.
bruise. And she
Is that how
also
she got
asked,
the nose? The broken nose?
she got the broken nose because she banged her face and head against the bathtub.
Oh.
He refused to beat her like she asked. She also asked him to brand her, but he wouldn't do it. And so she did it herself. So what she did was she sent him to the Hobby Lobby to go get a brander. I mean, Hobby Lobby is just full.
I feel like Michael's would have a brander over Hobby Lobby. Just
Oh,
saying.
interesting, right? I have not thought of purchasing a brander, so I don't know. But okay.
I used to do this this like wood burning. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like a brander, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, this is a little shocking too. So the guy says he also said his cousin knew Sherri was staying with him. So like multiple people have known that this happened. But that's a secret keeping cousin, okay? That cousin was interviewed and he said he saw Sherri there twice and both times she was unrestrained. So, I mean, I think that's just included in the report so that, she can't turn it around on this guy
Mm-hmm.
and say, whatever. So, after 22 days of looking at her phone in a boarded up room, Sherri told the ex she was ready to go back home. So, he dropped her off in a rural area and she made her way to the highway where she was found. She has been staying under the radar and living in the same area ever since. A friend of Keith's started a GoFundMe, which raised almost $50,000 to aid in Sherri's recovery, like all the therapy and stuff that she was going to need, which apparently, according to this report, mostly went towards paying off Keith and Sherri's credit card bills, which makes a lot of sense because it was like, how could she afford not to work and have two kids in preschool on her husband's Best Buy salary? They couldn't really.
I mean, you can.
You can, but it's hard,
Yeah.
right?
It's not
Listen,
easy.
this has been widely discussed on the Facebook group, and people
Okay.
say, well, her kids could have been in this free program called Head Start. But one of the kids was 4, and I think Head Start only goes to 3. So I don't know. It's just not it's hard to afford preschool on a one income family.
Yeah.
It just is.
It's really expensive.
It's really expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't, I mean, but there are programs too that
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just
I
saying
know.
that always seemed like, wow,
Yeah.
she's out jogging, stay-at-home mom, got 2 kids in preschool. We don't know whether or not it's being paid for by something like Best Buy must pay. Who knew?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Sherri also applied to the California Victims Fund and received payments over the years that totaled over $30,000. I had never heard of this. It sounds like Sherri had, though, and she did her research on it. I mean, did you know you could just say some shit happened to me? Can I get some I'm a victim money?
I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, apparently you can. So when they got the real story out of the ex-boyfriend, they went and took pictures of his apartment and closet. This is like my favorite part. Okay. So then they asked Sherri to come in for an interview. This is like last year.
Okay.
And they showed her pictures of the apartment and closet. And they asked her in front of Keith if this is where she had been while missing. And
What'd she say?
she said, it looks similar, but that's not it. The transcript actually it says that she literally said something like, that is real fucking similar, but that's not it.
Classy, Sherri.
Right? Classy. Then what happened, I'm just going to read directly from the report because it's so bizarre. Okay, but so picture it. Sherri's there with Keith. She's always like, Keith has to be with me. She can't, be alone.
Why though? Like, wouldn't you want to be like, dude, I really don't want to tell my husband what I was doing?
Right? Okay, so it says investigators then explained that they were showing Papini the photographs of the house they had discovered she had been staying at, and they had spoken to family who knew she was there, that being the cousin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Papini responded, "Oh my God." Investigators asked Papini if she wanted husband to stay in room. After some thought, Papini asked if she and husband could talk. So the investigators left the room. When investigators came back into the room, they asked Papini if she wanted husband in the room, but she would not answer. So investigators continued with the interview and said, the only way to control things is for us to know. Papini replied, I know. I don't want you to find her. She's the reason I get to see my children every day. Investigators responded, we agree, but we're not going to find her. Papini stated, I don't want to get her in trouble. Investigators then told Papini that the DNA evidence found on her clothing at the time of her reappearance belonged to ex-boyfriend, and that Papini was not abducted, but had asked ex-boyfriend to pick her up. Papini responded, no. When investigators asked if that's not what happened, what did happen, Papini answered, I don't know. There's no way it's ex-boyfriend. There's no way. There's no way. Investigators asked Papini why she has been saying it was not ex-boyfriend, and she replied, because he loves me. We were friends. There's no way. When investigators directly asked whether ex-boyfriend came and got you because you asked him, Papini replied falsely, no. When asked when was the last time Papini had contact with ex-boyfriend, Papini falsely said that it was before her abduction. Papini was asked when she last saw ex-boyfriend, and she replied, I don't know, forever ago when I lived in Southern California. Investigators asked, you are saying since you have been married, you haven't called your ex-boyfriend? And Papini responded, no, I have not called my ex-boyfriend. Investigators explained that phone records and DNA evidence showed that Papini had been in contact with ex-boyfriend, and again, Papini lying to federal agents is a crime. Investigators explained that ex-boyfriend provided details no one else would know. Well, husband was still in the interview room. Papini continued to deny that she ran away with ex-boyfriend. Now, once husband left the room, Papini admitted that she and ex-boyfriend did talk a little bit and said, "When I was out of town for work, I talked with other guys. Um, I made a mistake by talking to other men. I shouldn't have done that." Then they asked, "Did he put you in the car? Yes or no?" And Papini responded, "I don't remember." Investigators continue to ask Papini what happened with ex-boyfriend, and Papini stated, "You know who she is. I know you do. I know you know who she is. I'm not saying it. I don't want to get her in trouble." Okay, so it just goes on
Hmm.
that, basically, Sherri is trying to say that
It's still a woman.
it's still a woman. And somehow if her ex-boyfriend was involved, he dressed like a woman and took on, a Spanish, learned a second language or something, I don't know, so that he could, you know, kidnap her.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, it just is like the lies never ever stopped. I mean, the final part of the report is she never admitted that ex-boyfriend had picked her up and she had resided at ex-boyfriends during the period
Hmm.
she was missing. I mean, they have so much evidence. So they have like the I mean, they have her ass. They have the they found the burner phones that she was using. Like they went back to those records and have like the cell phone pings that place her in the apartment
Dude,
at
she
the time.
she just needed a little break. Listen, I'm going on 7 days, 24 hours a day, and I know I'm on vacation, so it's great, but I need a little break too. I'm not going to go run off with my ex-boyfriend, but I might just go out to dinner, when we get home without the kids.
I mean, it totally. It is unbelievable that she is never going to give up this lie. And I mean, it's like, what is,
She's going to go to jail.
oh,
No?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So apparently, after that interview, they let her go. Okay.
Hmm.
Like for a little while. So they let her go. So, I mean, fuck, what I would give to have been like a fly in that car ride with Keith. I mean, that
Is he
poor dude.
still
I
with
just don't
her?
want to, I don't think that they're allowed to be in contact. I just want to buy the dude a drink.
I know. Be like, listen, sometimes it's better to let go.
I
Let it
just want to
go.
tell him
Let it
at
go.
this point, just say, I wholeheartedly, no one could fault you. I wholeheartedly had to believe my wife, because who could believe that somebody that I picked to love and marry could be this effing crazy? So that's what I did, but I can't deny it anymore. She's all yours.
Yeah.
That's what you need to say, Keith. Just saying. Okay. So after they let her go, um, then they charged her with mail fraud and making false statements to a federal agent. Like, if she wouldn't have done all that um, filing for the victims report and everything, she wouldn't
Yeah.
have gotten in such big trouble. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's really going to get her.
What is stupid? Like I would
Yeah,
have
I
I would
mean,
have been like, hallelujah, get me home. I'm not gonna do any, Dr. Phil or whatever, but
mhm.
I'm not also gonna take the government's money.
Yeah. So the charges against her carry a sentence of up to 20 years.
Whoa.
So that's serious. Okay, so they're like, they let her go, but they're surveilling her because they thought she was a flight risk because, the big confrontation they had just had with her. Like, she had to know, like, the jig is up and, you know, like, there's nowhere for her to turn,
Yeah.
despite her saying it was a woman in disguise or whatever. So what they did was they followed her around, right? They're like surveilling her. And so when they arrested her, they did it where she takes her children to get music lessons. She screamed and ran away from the officer, which is why they are now charging her with resisting
Oh
arrest.
my God. I feel like I would do that too.
Yeah, don't do that.
I
um,
know, but you're gonna arrest me with my kids right there?
I know. Okay, so her mother, who I think is personally a real piece of work, just based on judging her on her social media.
Oh, that's right.
Oh my God. Okay. Side note, back when Sherri was missing, her mom like was posting about the election, which just bugged me because it's like, how do you care about the election when
Yeah,
your
when your
daughter
daughter's
has
missing.
been abducted?
Yeah.
Unless maybe you're not that worried because you know she's capable of some fucked up shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Anyways, Sherri's mama says her family was offended by the way she was ambushed and arrested in front of her children, and that she is just confused by the charges. And well, I can see why the way in which she was arrested in front of her children is not ideal. But I also understand the point of view of law enforcement, which is if we call her and ask her to come in, she'll run. Hello, she's in trouble for running away. We know she's a runner, okay? Also, I am pretty sure her and Keith own guns. So they're not going to do it at her home. They're just not, right?
Mhm.
Especially if they have children in the home. So they did it where they did. I mean, that's why it's basically the safest place for them to do it. And it sucks. But you know what else sucks? It's putting your kids through the trauma of having their mother
Dude,
abducted.
100%.
Just saying, uh, that's a little worse, Loretta. Okay. So she was released on a $120,000 bond. And her preliminary hearing is scheduled for March 25th. Mark your calendars. Since she was arrested, a couple people have come forward from her past to speak on her. One, an old boyfriend, went on Inside Edition and said, I just want to make it clear I am not the old boyfriend she said she was missing with. He said a lot of people have hit him up about it. He said that back at the time, as soon as he heard she was kidnapped, he did not believe it because she was a
Because
compulsive
she's,
liar the whole time they were together,
yeah. Once a
which
liar, always a liar. This lying has probably, I bet you Keith knew he knows she lies. She lies to him all the time. Unless
totally.
he's like a total like head in the clouds.
Yeah, he is.
He is.
He is. Okay, so her and the ex-boyfriend, by the way, were together when she was 20 and a camp counselor where he was 15.
Whoa.
Okay, so I mean, we don't have time to get into it, but like that's a crime too, right?
Yikesies.
Yikesies. Okay.
Yes.
A former coworker who worked with Sherri at one point at an AT&T store said, which by the way, okay, so we know Sherri worked in an AT&T store now. That's how she
Hmm.
knows all about getting burner
Phones.
phones and
Yeah.
shit. Okay. Said sure she made a mistake, but she followed her heart. And why is everyone so quick to judge love? I'll tell you why. Because it caused hundreds of thousands of dollars of wasted police hours to find her, and she put her family and children through hell.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why everyone's judging her. Okay, so shut up. And Cameron Gamble, the negotiator guy,
Hmm.
released a statement that said it is disheartening to learn of the recent criminal complaint filed against Papini and the negative impacts it placed on those who sacrificed their time and resources to help her. If found guilty, I firmly support the Department of Justice, FBI, and Attorney General to hold Papini accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Oh, thank you, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron. Good. We are on the same page now. Possibly planet Earth. Okay. So The Shasta County Police Department also released a statement that said, "Today is a great day for the Shasta County Sheriff's Office and for all law enforcement in this county. Sherri Papini cost public safety conservatively in excess of $150,000 in resources to investigate her knowingly false claims and staged abduction. Not only did this charade take valuable resources away from real criminal investigative manners, but in a time where there is serious human trafficking cases with legitimate victims, Sherri Papini used this tragic societal phenomenon to gain notoriety and financial gain. Finally, all of law enforcement in Shasta County was put on a national stage and subjected to scrutiny and criticism for the handling of this case. It has been a long time coming, and we are grateful that our federal partners for diligently pursuing justice." So they're like, "Fuck you, Sherri, in your face."
In your face, Sherri. You know, the problem also with Sherri is that she lives in like the smallest little county in California. So they got a lot of time to can check this stuff out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know that there was a lot of talk going
Hmm.
on around
Yeah.
there. They got time to be talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I cannot wait until this thing plays out.
I know. Well, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire. Don't go getting yourself missing on purpose and going to your boyfriend's house and wanting a little week or 22-day affair.
Oh, one last thing is the police did say that other people will possibly be charged in connection with this. They haven't
Oh,
decided. So maybe like those cousins, the
yeah,
ex-boyfriend
there's other people that were involved in helping her.
participated.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for that. Guys, follow us on Instagram on Housewives of True Crime on Facebook. We have a group called Housewives of True Crime Group. Follow us there. We have a lot of action going on. We communicate with you guys there. And if you want more stories and more just, of us, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/Housewives of True Crime. Gretchen just did a real good bonus crime last week. And so there's one bonus crime a month, and then the other 3 episodes a month or so are just us talking current events and what's going on in our life. And if you want the real juice, it's there. And if you haven't given us a review, please do, and tell your friends about us, and push subscribe right now if you have not on your phone, and you will get us every Monday. And if you're watching on YouTube, because we're recording this.
We're back on YouTube.
Aren't you excited? Also push subscribe there. We will really appreciate it. And if you haven't followed us on YouTube, go to HWTC and find us, and then please subscribe. That helps us also. And you guys are the best. Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.